Well, welcome to Life University. This is the kickoff of our 2015-2016 learning season, and we're excited. We are bringing Life University to you this year with a brand new look, a brand new feel, and we're really excited about it. For those of you who may not be familiar with what Life University is all about, Life University is a part of the education arm of the Tabernacle. We believe in missions, evangelism, teaching, and attractional ministry. There's a scripture where Jesus said that I came to give life and that more abundantly. We think that even after people receive Jesus as their Savior, they don't experience the abundant life if their family is a wreck, if their finances are in shambles, if their health is failing them, if they're not literate or they're not educating themselves, and if we don't have strong leadership in our communities. So the purpose of Life University is to get at those 5 areas. And so for the next year, we're going to have seminars once a month in those 5 areas: family, finance, health, education, and leadership. And some of our discussions that will follow the seminars will be small group classes that will go deeper into topics. So if you're interested in going deeper into a topic, you can look for classes to follow, and there'll be an opportunity for you to sign up when we have classes that will follow seminars. What we are hoping that you're going to do is that you're going to spread the word. There'll be a survey that we have for participants, and we're going to encourage you to answer the questions on those surveys. We'd like to collect that information. It helps us to know how we're doing, how you're doing, and we can continue to make this a better process for everybody. All right? Now, on tonight, we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine. We have known each other now for, a long time. We come from rival high schools. He is a Scott High School alumni. I am a Macomber Whitney alumni, and before they closed Macomber down, there was a strong rivalry between Scott and Macomber. Now we find ourselves on the same team. We reunited back in the 90s at Nathan Hale Elementary School. And the cool thing about what was going on at Nathan Hale, we would have conversations about furthering our education and getting our doctorate degrees. And, you talk and you dream, but, you never know those things are going to be actualized. Well, this good friend of mine, he completed his doctorate degree in educational leadership. He graduated from Scott High School with a scholarship to go to Pitt playing football. He went on from college football to the NFL. He went on to play overseas. He completed his doctorate degree, and now he is a principal at Robinson Elementary School. He is a Christian. He loves Jesus. He's a family man. He's a community man. And I'm so glad that he's agreed to come and share with you tonight on the topic of education. This person I'm talking about is none other than Dr. Carnell Smith. Can you all give him a warm welcome as he comes?
Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. I want to start off, first of all, by saying this is a great privilege for me to be here this evening. I was here last year when Pastor Sweeney first kicked off Life University, and he called me, and whenever he calls me, I come, because as he said, we go way back, and he and I, not just he and I, but it was 3 of us. It was Dr. Sweeney, Dr. Durant, and myself. We were all working at Nathan Hale, and at the time, Dr. Sweeney was a 3rd grade teacher. Dr. Durant was the 4th grade teacher, and I was the building sub. So, and we used to hang around, like you said, after school, after work for hours, hour and a half, and just talking about, furthering our education and where we projected, where we're going to be, and fixing the system and things of that nature. So it's a great pleasure for me to be here. I also want to thank his wife, First Lady, Miss Sweeney, for also having me here. She's always been very supportive of the pastor here, and also she's a fine Christian woman too. And it's just a pleasure for me to be here. And I'm just praying that I can come and give some words and possibly some words of wisdom that can assist us. And not if not you, then maybe you could pass on these words to hopefully assist someone else along the way. And Pastor Sweeney, they wanted me to talk about the 10 things parents need to know about education. And as I began to think about it and pray about it and in my quiet time, meditate on it, the 10 things wasn't coming to my spirit, but it was like things that parents need to know about education. And as the principal of Robinson, my philosophy of education, I like to start with a foundation. And I've always speak of a foundation. Even when I speak at the district, or if I'm speaking at our building leadership team, or if I'm speaking with our entire staff at a meeting, I like to discuss the foundation of our education. And that's where it's all began with. And with a strong foundation, then we can build upon. And the upshot of the matter is that as an educator, and as an educator in the 21st century, we really don't know what we're preparing our kids for. We really don't. But I know this, if we get this foundation together, then we can build upon this. Just like the foundation of this church, the rock that is built on, the foundation. It's a great foundation. So whenever you guys decide to expand, you don't have to do work on the foundation itself because the foundation is already solidified. Okay? So that's what we're looking at from the education standpoint with our children. Okay? And so I believe in beginning early, beginning younger and younger and younger. And that's where education is. And that's where the focus of education is today in the 21st century. It's in the foundation of education. It's looking at our foundation. It's looking at our fundamentals in education. And we're looking at our kids. And so often, many of our kids are coming to school and they're not prepared for kindergarten. Okay? And I have a reason why. And I'm going to share these reasons with you. Okay? And it's not Carnell's, what I think or what I'm saying, but I'm talking to you and I'm going to be speaking to you on what the research is saying. Okay? And this research that I'm going to present is very tedious research that was done over the years, looking at education and the cognitive development of our youth. And when I speak of the cognitive development, I'm thinking of the mental and the intellectual development of our youth. And so I told Dr. Sweeney, and as he know, when you in a doctoral program and you're going through that, it's definitely academic hazing, wouldn't you say? Maybe a little unnecessary sometimes. However, when you're in academia, we're taught to write and we're taught to do research from here to here. It's like an end funnel. It's like a funnel backward. And we go from here, we put the information out here, and then we bring it here. And that's what I'm praying that I can do this evening, is bring it from here to here. Okay? And that's my goal. And I want to be brief, and I don't want to be long, but I definitely want to be strong here and praying that I can give you all something of substance and something of value. There's something that's going to stick with us all, and that we can take back with our youth, and we can take back to our communities, we can take back to our household as well as our church, and even our working environment. So, Ms. Sweeney, if you guys can play the video really quick. I have a 5-minute video that I've watched before you start. I've watched this many times over the past 5 years, and each time I watch it, it just kind of blows my mind, and it's kind of speaking, well, I'll let it speak for itself. So the last question was left. What does this all mean? What does this all mean? It means, and we saw that it stated that we're getting our kids ready for jobs that don't exist yet. And this is why I was referring to the foundation has to be in order. And we must start on this foundation right now, immediately. Matter of fact, the foundation, we should start working on this foundation once the child is in the womb. That's how soon we should be working on this foundation. And I want to just talk about, start with our achievement gap. And the researchers have discovered that the achievement gap begins when children are very young. It's beginning at a very young age. And by the time children begin kindergarten, there's a large disturbing difference between the scores that poor and minority students receive on various tests and cognitive abilities and the scores that middle-class students are receiving on that same test. And there's a reason why behind all of this. In 1998, social policy professor Dr. Christopher Jenks and Dr. Meredith Phillips from Harvard University, they set out and they compiled a collection of scholarly paper on the subject of minority underachievement into a book that was titled The Black-White Test Gap. Okay? Jenks and Meredith concluded that changing the way parents deal with their children may be the single most important factor in improving children's cognitive skills. It's how we interact with our kids. And this all begins at a very early age, as I stated before. Dr. Hart and Dr. Risley, child psychologists from the University of Kansas, they were the first one to really go deep in there and start doing these studies and studying the intellectual development of children. So in the early 1980s, they recruited 42 families with newborn children in Kansas City from a variety of races and economic backgrounds. Okay? And this research went on for a while. This research went on for more than 2 years of gathering this data. And it consisted of, them visiting these families once a month, and each visit lasted an hour. For that hour, they recorded every single word that was spoken in the home. Everything, they recorded everything because they're doing research, and so they were collecting the data. And 2 years of research, that's a very long time, and that's a lot of data. Dr. Sweeney, how much time did you spend on your research, your dissertation research? Collecting the data alone, I mean. Was it 2 years? You spent 2 years? Okay, I didn't spend quite that long collecting data. All right? Because I did a qualitative study, which means I went out and did interviews. I didn't send out surveys for people to send back to me. So I was in control of it. So I did interviews, much like what they did. So it took me approximately maybe 2 months to collect data. But this just to show how in-depth this research was, it took them 2 years to get this research together. And they divided the families into 3 classes: parents on welfare, working class parents, and professional parents, and compared the statistics of each group. And what they discovered was that the vocabulary growth differed sharply by classes. And these gaps were evident early. Okay? And this thing called vocabulary, we speak about this a lot in school. And the reason why we do, I've been fortunate enough to be a principal on every level. Elementary, the junior high level, as well as the high school level. And despite what level it was, what school it was at, we all had to deal with the state standardized tests. And often these tests determines whether a child move on or whether a kid graduate. And right now we have the 3rd grade guarantee, which if a kid does not pass, then they have multiple opportunities to pass during that 3rd grade year. If they do not pass it, then they are held back in the 3rd grade. Also, we have a lot of pressure, high-stake testing with the kids in high school, taking the OGT, the Ohio Graduate Test. Okay, now if kids do not successfully pass this test in 5 subjects, then it prevents them from graduating high school. And it doesn't matter what your grade point average is. And there's been valedictorian salutatorians who have not passed this test and could not graduate. Okay? And what we discovered is that often the culprit of why these youngsters are not passing this test is because of the lack of vocabularies. It's the lack of vocabularies. It's the vocabulary, their vocabulary is not that rich. And it's not that they're not intelligent kids or not that they're not bright kids, because they're highly intelligent and they're extremely bright. And in fact, I have a great time working with them and conversating with them. But there's a gap right there, okay? And to better argue my point, what I'm talking about is that, to give you an example, a question may read, I want you to first analyze this problem, and then I need you to demonstrate how that word analyze, that's an action verb. Okay, and the kid will read that word, they'll see it, they'll say analyze. And you'll say, okay, all right, now stop. What does that word analyze mean? And if we don't know that vocabulary, what the word analyze means, then how can we properly answer the question? If we don't know what the word demonstrate means, you can read it. They can probably even spell it. So, okay, what does demonstrate, now what does that mean? Often, the kids who struggle on that test, they can't answer that. So what we have a habit of doing is that we come across where we put on the walls action verbs, demonstrate, analyze, those type of things. And it's in our science, in our STEM lab, it's in many of our classrooms where those kids have to know those words, because those words come up often on those state standardized tests. Okay? And they need to know those words. And in order to know these words and to be able to better express themselves with that, we have to get used to using those words in our everyday conversation. It's not something that we can pick up and put down. It's the old saying, if you don't use it, you what? You lose it. So we have to use these words. And it's not about, this person trying to sound proper, or this person think that they're white or anything like that. This is just speaking proper English, and it fulfills a requirement that's going to assist our children in improving their academics and graduating and moving on for these jobs that has yet to be created. I'm going to go over some data here with you, and it's a little disturbing, but the data is what it is, and I'm the messenger, okay? And it's all about, once we get this data, what we're going to do with it, okay? And we have a responsibility here. We have a responsibility here to do something. Once we analyze that word, the problem, and we see what it is, it's more or less like you go to the doctor, your medical physician, and you get an MRI. You see what the problem is, you see what the deficiencies are, and then that's where we're going to attack that problem right there. Okay? By age 3, children of professional parents have vocabularies of approximately 1,100 words. Children of parents on welfare have vocabularies of about 525 words. Furthermore, the children IQ among the professional children was 117 on average. The IQ of children on welfare was an average of 79. And once again, the cause of these variations, what the researchers found was it was due to a lack of the vocabularies. Okay, and I'm going to continue to go on here, and then we're going to get into how these vocabularies begin, because it starts with us. Okay? And what we must understand as adults, as parents, that when we have children, we are their first teachers. We're their first teachers. And those years, the time before, from the time that that child is conceived until the time that kid first hit preschool, we're those teachers. And that's on us to help develop these vocabularies. Okay? Hart and Reason, they concluded that the size of each child's vocabulary was correlated most closely to the number of words the parent spoke to the child. We got to have conversations with our children, and it has to begin early. And once again, that begins in the womb. We begin talking to our children. We begin talking to our children, and we should begin talking to our children when they're in the womb. We should be reading to them in the womb. They should be listening to gospel music, classical music. You can read the Bible to them. Have conversation. And I'm talking about real conversation. I'm not talking about baby talk. No, that's not developing vocabularies. We have to have real conversation with these youngsters. We got to have real conversation. If you know anyone who's doing that, don't do it. Don't do it. We can't do it. We got to raise the stakes here. And the reason being is that many years ago, I was reading an article, and it was dealing with the cognitive development of children. And in this article, it was talking about when children are young, academically, they said throw the kitchen sink at them. Give them everything. Everything. And the reason being, there was a scientific research that was stating that we have to give the kids everything due to the fact that these children have more glucose on their brains right now than we do, meaning they have more sugar, more activities in their brains. Therefore, a youngster can learn a foreign language quicker than many of us right now to this day. And the example was, in the article, was that there was an Asian woman of the Chinese descent, and there was a Caucasian man. Okay, and they had a little girl. And they decided very early that their child is going to grow up bilingual, meaning that she's going to speak Chinese fluent as well as English fluently. Okay, so in order to do this, what they did was the mother spoke, when she spoke to the child, it was strictly Chinese. When the father spoke to the child, it was strictly English. One day, the child was 3 years old. Somebody rang the doorbell. The mother told her to go get the door. Child opened the door, and there was a Chinese woman at the door. And immediately, the baby began speaking Chinese. So throw the kitchen sink at them. The fact of the matter of saying nowadays that they're too young to learn this. They're too young to learn these words. No, right now. Right now. And it can happen. And it is happening. And it's happening every day. And it's happening every day for our children. However, we need to happen more. It has to happen more. The researchers, they also discovered that in professional home, parents directed an average of 487 utterance, anything from one word command to a full sequelity to their child each hour. 487 words. Yes, sir. That's a conversation. Yep. And the utterance of words, there can be one word. It can be 2 words. It can be a part of a sentence. You know what I mean? A phrase or what have you. The fact of the matter, what they're stressing here is that there are real conversations going on with this child. Okay? And you know, and we all know when our children are very inquisitive. You'll say a word. What does that mean? We enhancing those vocabularies. I had a conversation with a young man yesterday, and we were in school, And it was right after the bell rang. And we was having a conversation, and I was, my thing is I'm talking to young men, and I'm uplifting, I'm building them up. And a lot of times what they don't understand is I'm building that confidence. I want to build that confidence up. I want them to believe in themselves. So I was having a conversation with this young man, and I said, this conversation needs to be reciprocal. And he looked at me, and I saw it in his face. I said, do you know what that means? He said, no. And I looked at his teacher. I said, I want you to work with him on that vocabulary, and when I come back in here tomorrow, I need to see it on the board. Because I want him to use. And guess what? He was like working on it because he wanted to have this conversation with me. Okay? And he got it. He got the understanding of what it was. And what I told him was, as I stated before, now this has to be used in your conversation in the right context. I said, you have to use this. Because once again, if you don't use it, you what? And so that's what I want him to do. And so this is a thing like when you see a word. So if I'm having a conversation with my son, even, and if I say something to him and I see that look on his face, say, do you know what that means? And if he says no, then we're going to have a conversation on what that word means, thus enhancing his vocabulary. Okay? Thus enhancing his conversation, broadening his horizon. In welfare homes, children only heard 178 utterance per hour. And by the age of 3, welfare children heard 10 million words addressed to them on the average. That's by the age of 3. Okay? On the average, professional children heard 30 million words addressed to them on average. What's going on here? It's just more conversation. It's quality conversation. It's quality conversation that's going on. And this is something we need to talk about, because once we become more conscious of it, there's no doubt in my mind I know we're going to do it. There's no doubt in my mind. I got to believe that. I got to have faith in this. I got to have faith in myself, and I got faith in all of y'all. That once we understand these things and we open up our minds, and that means we're more conscious and we're more living in the moment, then we're more likely to address that. We're more likely to correct ourselves. Now, the kinds of words and statements vary by class. The most basic difference was the number of discouragements a child heard, and words of disapproval compared to the number of encouragements, or words of praise and approval. Man, when the last time somebody, you know how I feel when somebody just come and tell you like, Dr. Sweeney, man, I believe in you. I believe in you, man. I know you can do it. You may not see it, but I know you can. Those type of uplifting words make you stand a little bit more erect. And our children need this type of confidence. They need to be built up like this. They're going to face enough adversity out here enough. They're going to face enough adversity. This world has enough adversity. But in order to prepare them for that, we have to build them up. And building them up is also part of, once again, building this vocabulary. By the age of 3, the average professional child hears approximately 500,000 encouragements and only 80,000 discouragements. Welfare children is reversed. They hear 80,000 encouragement and 200,000 discouragements. Now, let me stop here for a second, because I'm not a rude, disrespectful, or mean-spirited person whatsoever. And I want everybody to know here, when I'm speaking of welfare children and stuff like that, I'm not talking about anyone in specific here. Okay, so I want to make that perfectly clear. I'm just here delivering the message. And I'm talking about the kids that I work with every day. Because at Robinson Elementary, we have 98% of our children receive their free or reduced lunch, which is a direct correlation with the social economic status of their parents. So that's what I'm addressing here. So I wanted to make that perfectly clear. Now, I talked about this. I talked about, the statistics. I talked about the issues. I talked about the problems. But now I have a solution. And there is a solution. And we can do it. And it's happening every single day. And it said, what can we do? And as I stated before, I'm looking at the foundation. And so let's look at, for the sake of time this evening, we're only going to look at preschool to third grade, which is a major part of the foundation. One thing we can do, becoming involved in our children's education at the preschool and primary school age years will give them a firm foundation from which to grow and to learn. And we're talking preschool, but I was talking before preschool, because now we look at, they have this thing now in school system called kindergarten ready. Is this child kindergarten ready? So now there's no more going to kindergarten and we're going to sit down and we're going to color, we're going to eat graham crackers and take naps. Those days are over. Half days, those days are long gone. Long gone. Long gone. Children are expected to come to kindergarten being able to recognize their names, knowing their ABCs, knowing their basic colors, being able to tie their shoes, being able to follow directions. That's an expectation. And no disrespect to the big mamas here and stuff like that, but if your child going to being babysit or they in a daycare or anything like that, that daycare should have an education component to it. So no longer can we just, okay, we babysitting the kid and so we're going to sit them in front of the TV or y'all run out, go outside and play. That day is long gone. And it has to have, and it goes through, and it's a process. And once again, I will always continue to go towards the foundation. And that's why one of my goals is that we created something at Robinson, myself along with my building leadership team and my kindergarten teachers. And I said, okay, I want to enhance this. We created something called the Robinson Plan, which address the early childhood issues that we're having with our kindergartners coming in early childhood. And it has to begin right now. We have to seize learning opportunities for our children in every activities and everything we do. They're called teachable moments. And we have to be conscious and aware of these teachable moments. Teaching your children the ABCs or spelling while they eat their alphabet soup. As you fold the laundry, you can have them identify different colors or count different items. Allow your children to assist you in baking cookies so they can learn to follow simple directions. Following directions is so important. As a principal, one of the major things I see that's preventing our babies from achieving at a very high level, and once again, I'll tell you these children are brilliant, but the thing that's blocking them from achieving at a very high level is that we spend too much time on behavior and redirecting behavior in which should have been taught long before it even came to the kindergarten. This is one thing we're working on with our children at Robinson, and we have little hooks, little book bag hooks that we gave to our students and to put their book bags in. And what we're doing is we're working with our parents to designate a place at home where this child can do their homework. And once again, therefore, we have to encourage reading. We have to encourage it at a very early age and have a love and develop a love for reading. We must develop a love for reading at a very young age so we can become lifetime learners as we can educate ourselves formally and informally. So encourage reading by designating a reading hour. And you can start it off slow. You can say, hey, we're going to read for 20 minutes or 15 minutes. And you can read with them. I encourage you to read with them. I encourage you to read with them. Read with them. Let them read to you. And then you ask them, what did we read? What did you read? You're looking at the comprehension. You're looking at the comprehension. Then you see words, and then you may want to point them out. Once again, we're looking at vocabulary. What does that word mean? Other skills is to familiarize children with the world and teach readiness skills. The alphabet song is a great activity to teach children the ABCs. Sing songs with your children while driving in the car. And I'm talking about these good songs. I'm talking about those songs Dr. Sweeney and I grew up to. Not this nonsense. They gonna hear it. They gonna hear it because we can't protect our kids from everything. Okay? And we're not gonna be the only person in our children's ear. But we better be the most important person in their ear. We better be. We better be. So sing these songs with our children. Sound out the letters with your children so that they understand that the sounds represents words. Those are things that we could do. Teach number concept at the store and at home. Teach these things at home. What my son do, what we do, my son, I'm on him. It's a stickler on him. And, we go to I'll give you an example. This summer we were at the mall, and my wife and I, we just got a thing about buying sunglasses. I mean, we got a Sanford & Son drawer at home full of sunglasses. So our son is starting to pick up on this, right? So we're at the mall, and he bugging me. Dad, get these sunglasses, please. And these were some ugly sunglasses. He just wanted some sunglasses just to have sunglasses. And I said, all right. So I get these sunglasses. And I paid the man for the sunglasses. I said, now I just gave this man $20. This is what the sunglasses cost. You need to tell me how much change I'm getting back. And until you can tell me that, I'm holding these sunglasses. We was at the Peter Pit. He and I went there Friday. My wife said, you guys flying solo tonight. Y'all make it happen. Go find yourself something to eat or whatever. I'm gone. All right, so we went to the Peter Pit. I always want to call it the Peter Patch. We're at the Peter Pit downtown. And so, our meal came up to like $18.40, and I gave the young man a $20 bill. And we was walking out, and he was waiting for us back. I said, you're not eating until you tell me how much change I'm supposed to get back. And he was like, I said, here's a pen. Work it out, even if you need to work it out right there. And so I'm conscious of the fact, so I'm giving him, I'm teaching several lessons. First of all, to be money conscious, to be number conscious, okay? And you need to be able finally to count your money. Because if you don't, somebody else will. And we don't want nobody else counting our money for us. So, also, when you're buying fruit, You might say, let's get 4 apples. 1 for you, 1 for me, 2 for Grandpa. Or when you set the table, you ask how many plates we need. Involve the children. Let them be a part of it. You may be at the grocery store, or you driving. It can be anything. You're at the grocery store. What's that? What color is that? My favorite one used to be when we're driving and we come to a light. What color is that? Red. What does red mean? What color is that? That's yellow. What does that mean? That's green. Like, let's go. Let's go, Dad. Okay. So it's just that simple. And I just want to make us conscious of the simplicity of it. We just have to be conscious and we have to want to do it. We can teach our children color concepts. We can teach them as we shop. As I stated, driving in the car. We can dress or watch TV together to get understanding of things. Play guessing games about colors. For example, I like to do this with our kindergartners. Games like, I'm thinking of something blue. Name things that are blue. Those are things to get kids thinking. That get them thinking. That get them involved. That get them creating a love for education, a love for learning early as a part of their foundation. And so as we teach these things as being a part of their foundation, and as they move through school, okay, then we can add more on. Because we cannot do subtractions, 5 minus 5, until we can first do 1 plus 1. So we build on that. We build on that. I've never seen a teacher teach subtractions first and then additions. There's always been additions first and then subtraction. Then we building. We're building. As I stated before, the ability to follow directions is one of the most important skills we can teach our kids. One of my favorite things at Robinson, in Toledo Public Schools and many other school districts, this right here, anybody know what this means when you walk in a room with kids that talking, whatever? What this mean? Give me 5 means be quiet. Okay? So when we come in, we say, give me 5. That's an important skill where they need to learn how to follow direction. I took it a step further. Whereas at Robinson, we have a certain way in which we listen. And I remind our students that we listen not just with our eye, not with just our ears, but we listen with our eyes as well. So when you're listening to a person, you look at that person with your eyes, with your ears open and your mouth closed. And that's part of learning to follow directions. See, listening is a skill. It's an art. And those who can do it, that's more than half the battle. Listening and being able to follow directions. I tell you, I was born and raised here at Toledo, Ohio. Attended Lincoln Elementary School until the 3rd grade. Then I attended Washington Elementary School. Went on to Robinson Junior High and to Scott High School. I was raised in a single-family home, the oldest. And people come to me all the time, and they're like, Carnell, could you talk to my son, or could you talk to my daughter? Could you tell us how you come from a single-parent home, living in inner city Toledo, and getting a scholarship, and then living in Europe and accomplish the things that you've done? Could you tell them what you've done? Well, I listened to my mother. I followed directions in school, and I worked really hard, and and was going on the wings of the prayers of my mother and grandmother until I had sense enough to pray for myself. That's pretty much it. And unfortunately, so many times people just walk away looking disappointed, like, no, it's more to it than that. Like I got some magic that's like, no, you got to listen and follow directions. You got to be able to do that. And then if you can have some great manners on that, man, you may go to the moon. Because I'm of the belief what my mother taught me and my siblings many years ago, is that great manners will often get you into places where money can't. So all of that has to be a part of the foundation of our children's today of the 21st century. Because as that video showed, our children, they are competing in a global society, a global economy. And from a physical standpoint or whatever, technically the globe is not shrinking, from a physical standpoint, but technically it's shrinking due to the fact of the technology that's today. And so these jobs are international now. And as you saw here, that many of these jobs, people are not going to be there. I've been studying for quite some time that no longer are the days where we're going to be at one place or one job for 30 years. We're all kind of like free agents. May work here 3 years, then I develop a skill and I add on to my foundation. Then I go work here for 5 years and I add on to my foundation. And then I may go here for 10 years. I may be here for 1 year. I may be here for a moment. The fact of the matter is, everywhere I go, I have to build on this foundation. And as I build on this foundation, and as we teach our kids to build on this foundation, and then we're enhancing what economists call our human capital, meaning our self-worth, our self-value of what we have to offer. That's what we're building. And that's ultimately what we want our children to do. And we want our children to build off of that. We want to build their foundation. We want to build their human capital so they can compete in a global economy and a global society. We don't know what our kids are going to do, what are we going to develop. I tell you what, we have a young lady at Robinson as a seventh grader. She won the entire citywide science fair. She did. We have some awesome teachers at Robinson, and they're working extremely hard. We have a STEM teacher there, and she got this young lady a mentor from the University of Toledo. And she discovered a way of using milkweed as to clean up environmental spills in the oceans and in the rivers. Yes, she did. And it just blew everybody away. And she discovered this. So we want to give our children instructions to follow. But, sometimes we got to eat, this information you're getting, and we just got to eat an elephant a little bit at a time. So we got to start with a few simple steps and give and add more and more as they mature. Now, in order to teach children direction is to give them age-appropriate household responsibilities. Nothing disappoint me more when I'm in the meetings with a parent and a child, and I turn to this child and I say, you only got a few responsibilities. Your job is to stay out of trouble, get your behind here, work as hard as you can in school, and then go home and do your chores. And then the parents chime in and say, they don't have any chores to do. I do that. And I'm like, what? Where's the responsibility here? Because it's not just about the chore here. We're developing work ethics. That's what we're developing. We're developing a get up and go. My son is 9. I told him the young man who cut our grass, he's going to be fired soon. You going to have a job. You going to pay me too, Dad? No. You earning your keeps to stay in this family. You learning the work ethic. That's what you learn. I know you're only 9, but this is what's going to happen. So right now, what he's been doing for the past year or so, he's been taking the trash out. I told him I don't want to see a trash bag overflowing nowhere in this house. More importantly, I don't want to have to tell you to do it. I want to develop leadership skill as well, whereas you see a job needs to be done, and opposed to saying it's not my job, you go and do this job. That's what leaders do. Young children, to allow them to understand sequence, allow them to dress themselves. They'll soon learn that socks must go on before the shoes. You know, and my son is playing football now, and he's getting dressed and putting the football pants on and stuff, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, no, I'll take the pants back off, son. Put your socks on first before you put your pants on. You know, so, because he liked to wear these really high socks. I said, you got to put your socks on first, then put your pants on. So, you got to point out other sequences when you're cooking or repairing something. You know, those are all teachable moments. Those are all assisting our children in following directions. We got to teach them grouping skills by having them categorize fruits, vegetables, relatives, friends, toys, and clothes. These all are teachable moments. We can't let these moments slip by. That's why we have to be conscious of it. That's how we combat those statistics as I was going over early on. So what I'm saying is this doesn't just happens to happen, doesn't have to occur just for professional families or middle class family, but this can happen for all families, despite what your social economic background may be. It can, and it will, if we apply it. Finally, we have to teach our children about the world and the environment, you know, about the planning trips to the zoo, to the park, to the library. We have a world-class art museum here, to the art museum. This is all culture to expand their horizon. This expands their horizon, which also, once again, goes back to the foundation as expanding the vocabularies. This is a must. We must do these type of things instead of just going to the movies or just letting our kids just go out to play unsupervised. Because often what happens is our children who go out and play and they just run around, they play and they're just playing video games, then it's kind of like when they come to school, they're not used to the structure and often not used to the rigor of the academic progress. And so often we'll find the kids to say, this is boring. I don't like this or whatever. And I'm like, you know, I can't dance and entertain you. I know you want to be entertained, but this ain't the time. You know, and so often with our babies, if they're not being entertained, then they are bored. You know, and they should be entertained. And I remind our students all the time, I know that you're a kid. And kids like to have fun. And we're going to have fun. However, we need to take care of this first. Okay? But yet we can still have fun. And even in having fun, it can all still be a part of the education process. I know when we're traveling, every now and then we get a chance to travel a little bit, to go out of town or go to the beach or what have you. And one of the things I like to do in the car, whether I have my son with us or I have a nephew with us or what have you, you know, as we cross the state line. There's another state. What state is that? Where are we now? Okay, how far are we away from home? You know, those are talking about geography there. I'm just saying everything is a teachable moment. And we got to take advantage of this. Our kids are brilliant. I'm telling you, they are brilliant. I see it every day. But we have to continue to cultivate it. We have to cultivate it early and often and continuous. Continuous. And we cannot let go. We cannot, once they get 12, 13, and say, oh, now they're grown. No. See, what happens is that these kids are so big right now physically, they're grown from the neck down, from the neck up, they're still a child. You know. And as parents, as adults, we cannot get duped in the fact that, okay, they're done, because our job as parents is not done. It's not done. It is not done. And this is something that's going to be continuous throughout our children's lifetime. With that, I just want to close, and I just want to say thank you to Dr. Sweeney and Miss Sweeney once again for inviting me. I'm very humbled to be here today, to be able to speak to community members and members of the church. It's a humbling experience for me. I never take these type of opportunities for granted. And I thank God for allowing me to be a messenger here and to pray that I said something that can have some type of positive effect on someone or someone's children or someone's household. And let's just keep believing in our children and believe that they can do it, and they shall. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Can we give another hand clap for Dr. Carnell Smith? Very good, very good. I'd just like to thank you for coming and sharing very pertinent information. I hope that you have heard something that you can begin to apply and just continue to build on that. Even if you have teenagers, just continue to build on that. Because of time, we're not going to have Q&A here in the audience, but we can do Q&A on our Facebook page. It's Life U Talks. And you can go on the Facebook and like Life U Talks. And if you have questions for Dr. Smith, I know he's busy, but he can have an opportunity to answer those questions for you. So if you have some questions that you would like to ask him, you need to like us and follow us on Life U Talks. I don't see anybody going to that or writing that down, or maybe you're memorizing it. But we really want to build that community. And we want you to encourage other people to go to that Facebook page so that we can create a community where we can have conversations and dialogue. And also, you'll find on the Life U Talks Facebook page, you'll find some video clips. You'll find full-length video of the talks as we move forward. We'll also have special guests appearing, sharing pertinent information on that particular topic. So you can expect some things on education being put on Life U Talks. And our next Life U Talk will be health. And then the one after that, we'll have our third counterpart, Dr. Romulus Duran, will be doing November. So that's going to be cool. So there's a lot of great, we have a faculty this year that is like one of the best faculties you could put together if you wanted to do something like this. We have some really great people. So please go to Life U Talks. There is also a Life University YouTube channel, and you're going to be able to find videos there as well. So we really want you guys to plug into that. Tell other people about it. We'll be doing this every month. It'll be the last Tuesday of every month except for November, because that was right next to Thanksgiving. So in November, and we'll get a lot of information out there about November. It'll be before the Thanksgiving week, and that's the week Dr. Duran will be with us. But we want you to help us spread the word. And when you like Life U Talks, you can invite other of your friends to also follow and like Life U Talks. One other thing that we would like to do for you to do is on SurveyMonkey, we're going to have some questions. Do we have that ready, Ms. Sweeney? And when you do that, we're going to put your name in for a raffle. We're going to raffle off a gift card so that everyone that will go to the Life U Talks and fill out that survey, you will be entered into a raffle for a gift card. But we really want you to do that, and we want to hear what you have to say as it relates to the survey questions. I would also like to thank some of our friends of our ministry that are here tonight. Many of you, some of you at least, heard the talk given by Mike McAleer last year, and he talked about leadership and how to lead through adversity. Well, Mike has partnered with us, the church, to help us to do Life University on another level. And so we have our friends from Service Spring Corporation, from their some of the people from their marketing department are here with us to help us put together a great product to show people in our community so that they can learn more. And when we know better, we do better. So before you leave, you just give a warm welcome to our friends from Service Spring Corporation. And Mike's out of town right now, so he's not here with us. But they've been working diligently with us throughout the summer to help prepare a lot of the things that you see going on tonight. And our young people are working with them. We have teenagers that are working with them that are learning marketing strategy, marketing plans, website, and different things like that. So great things are going on. All right. Having said that, we're going to get ready to get out of here.